episode of the Transit Talk. I am your host, Roger Marenco.
I'm Pete Wilson.
Torpedo from Cable Car.
Daphne from Patrol.
An operator out of Flint.
Excellent. Thank you to everybody for joining us today, and thanks to all of you out there for joining us today. Remember, folks, that if you cannot watch us online, you can simply turn up the volume and listen to us while you're commuting to work, during your break, during your split, or when you have some free time in general. The Transit Talk is a monthly grassroots educational program organized by our fellow coworkers here to bring you the two single most important fundamental elements of any and every movement. Number one, educating ourselves. Number two, organizing ourselves. And that's exactly what we're doing here today in the Transit Talk. So thank you for tuning in. Without any other further introductions, I'd like to bring up this month's topic or educational issue that we are going to talk about, which is ludicrous charges. Everybody out here in the force has a story to tell, or several stories to tell, in regards to ludicrous charges. And today we're going to talk just about a few of them, what some of the consequences have been, the situations, and what we can do to ameliorate, help the SFMTA, Muni, our fellow brothers and sisters out there, in regards to these instances, situations, collisions, etc., and so forth. So, please, tell us your situation or incident that you were involved with a few years ago in regards to, I think it was a taxi cab, I believe.
Yeah, I was on 3rd Street crossing Market turning into Kearney. Taxi caught the front part of the coach. No damage to the bus, just some scratches. Taxi tore his whole side of his bus. Pulled over, waited for an inspector. Took a report, continuing service. 30 days later, they said that I made contact with the taxi. Asked for the video. They gave me the runaround. Finally, when they got the video, the accident was not captured on video. And I asked, well, how can you charge it with it if it's not on video? And the superintendent's response was, well, something happened when he went around you. And I said, yeah, he hit me. No, you're the professional. We hold you to a higher standard. This is just a warning. I didn't make this decision, but there's nothing on this video that will allow me to overrule this decision.
But there was no video, but yet
No.
you got charged, is that correct?
Yep.
You were charged.
All the video showed was the taxi behind me, and then when he went around me, you couldn't see it because he caught the very front of the bus, the very, very front, the side, just like grazed me.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
No video, and you got charged with it.
Yeah.
That's just one incident.
I mean, video, but not of the actual contact. There was
Okay.
no video of the contact.
Interesting. We're going to come back to you because you have another interesting situation that you were also involved with. Daphne, please tell us about your situation that you were involved with.
I have a couple, but I'm just going to bring up the one when I was on the 30 line. I was on 3rd as well, traveling inbound. Well, actually, it would be outbound, and I was crossing Folsom, and as I was crossing Folsom, I was in the number 4 lane, which is the red carpet. There was a SUV in the right turning lane. As I went through 3rd and Folsom, I looked both ways, and this vehicle was in the right turning lane. So I'm clear in the red carpet, in my lane completely. As I go through the intersection, I'm looking both ways, I'm clear. All of a sudden, I see this bumper just go out into the middle of the intersection. So I pull up into the bus zone and I stop. So I didn't see anybody for a good little while, and I'm like, oh man, he's at the back of the bus, So I wait for our call, Central. I wait for the inspector to come. And finally, about 10 minutes later, this guy shows up and he's like, oh, you hit me. I said, oh, let's not start blaming anybody. I said, I went, looked at the back of the bus, I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything at all. I looked at the little rain guard area and there was a little scratch there. So when the video finally came, you could see where he turns into the left side of the bus and his bumper catches the rain guard, right? So what they tell me is, you made contact. He did turn left into the bus, and the bus made contact.
Left or right?
He turned left.
Okay.
He turned left. I'm going straight. He turns left into the bus and makes his right turn. So I said, well, I'm going straight. So what is he doing turning left if he's in the right turning lane? So how can you guys charge me with that? So they said, well, we're gonna send it back to the review board and see if we can get another outcome from that. So I wait like a week or so to see, you know, what the answer is going to be. The next thing I know, I'm in collision class for this accident. And I'm like, they're like, okay, you have this accident on your file. And I'm like, okay, how do I have this accident when it's supposed to be going back to to be reviewed?
And in your case or situation or instance, there was a video.
There was a video.
And
there was a video, and it showed me traveling straight, never going outside of my lane. Even when it was written up, it said I was in my lane, and that vehicle turned left into my vehicle.
And yet you still got charged for it, even though there was a video that
There
clearly
was a
shows that
video,
the
and
other
it showed the vehicle turning into my vehicle.
Tell us exactly, more or less, approximately where the vehicle was in regards
When
to your
he turned
request.
when he turned into the coach, he was at the third axle.
At the third axle.
Yeah.
And you
third
had a
axle.
60-foot vehicle.
I'm on a 60-foot
Wow.
coach.
Okay.
60-foot trolley.
How did that make you feel? Knowing that it was not your fault, but you got charged for it anyways.
Well, it made me feel like, you know, unless your coach is not moving, you're always at fault.
Unless your coach is not moving, you're always at fault.
Because I had another incident where I was at Francisco and Columbus on the 30 line going inbound, and I was sitting in my coach still loading passengers, and there was a double-decker bus, and this double-decker bus came through and hit my ropes, and it tore the poles completely up. The poles were sticking completely in the air, and I had to be towed, and I was sitting still, and so I got not charged with that accident.
You were not charged.
Yeah, so it let me know. It let me know that if you're sitting still and you're on a muni vehicle and you are in a collision, it let me know that you will not be charged with that accident.
That's very interesting that
It
you
is
bring that up.
interesting. It is very
Before you move
interesting.
on, I want to point out something, because the three of you guys are at Flynn. You've driven at Flynn. I've driven at Flynn. And at Potrero, where there's 60-foot coaches as well. Just the rumor, the talk is, if you hit somebody or somebody hits you, opens a door or whatever, and it's behind your third axle, it's not going to be your fault.
That
you
is
ever
not
heard
true.
that? I've heard that one.
Yeah.
I've never seen it in writing, but I've heard it.
Now, that brings us to our next point here, because she stated that if you're not moving, then you're not at fault. Let's ask Anton. Let's ask Torpedo. Torpedo,
Yeah, I was on the F line at
man.
Valencia Market going inbound, stop.
you were on the F line, so you're, okay, the little, on the rails, you're on rails.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I was stopped, and there was a car waiting, but the lights were flashing and it's a lot of traffic. So she just sitting there, and then she decided to back up, made contact with the left front corner of my streetcar, and then drove off. But when they had it, the way the camera receptors only one camera fisheye, it doesn't show real good. It's above the driver, so when they saw it, it looked like did I creep up, because I looked out the window to make sure I could see if I could pass her, because she was sort of like this way, and they thought I made contact with her. I didn't, and she drove off. But after reviewing the tape, they saw that she did back up, but they didn't want to overturn it.
So,
But
Oh my
system
God.
safety is
But
the one
isn't
that
there
made
a
the
drive?
call.
Isn't the drive cam? I think people say the drive cam records your speed.
It
So if they
does.
look, well, I guess I don't know. Maybe the drive cam.
The F car
If you
has
don't
the
have
old
the
side.
drive cam tape from like it what am I trying? It disappears after a certain amount of time.
No, the tape's
unless it
there, but
records.
it's a fisheye, just like a
Okay.
cable car camera. It's above the driver, shows 5 feet on each side and 5 feet in front. But I was creeping up on her, so they thought that I'd hit her. And then they finally found out, but they were like, since I put myself in danger, didn't leave myself out, because you're supposed to be
You didn't
the
leave
5 feet.
her.
No, I'm supposed to be 5 feet behind the vehicle in front of me. They tried
F
to
line
say.
can't go out.
Oh man.
You're supposed to not be tailgating right under bumper. They're trying to blame me for that.
Yeah.
interesting. Well, I don't remember anything that says that you're going to get charged for tailgating if you're on rails and if you were stopped. So here's what I'm understanding. You're driving, you're creeping up, you stop, she reverses, hits
Yeah.
the F line, and then
Yeah.
she drives off. Let me ask
Yeah.
you this: do you think she knew or noticed that she hit your vehicle?
She might have not even known it, and oblivious to it.
Okay, interesting. But you know, because how did you know she reversed? Was there reverse lights or what happened?
I saw it. I saw the backup light come on and she went backward. But the angle of the camera, you couldn't really tell if her backup lights were on at first. They had to watch it like 2 or 3 times.
And your vehicle was stopped.
Yeah.
You
it
were
was
stopped.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Dad?
You know what? I think that's horrible. I think that's really horrible because, you know, the inspector should have came out and probably, I guess, hit the button on the drive cam to stop it? Because they say that the drive cam keeps, I guess the tape keeps rolling or something if you don't.
Rails don't have that. On
You
the
guys
old
don't,
cars.
oh, okay.
Oh, you don't have a drive cam.
We just have
Okay.
Yeah, the drive cam
Fifth
tape.
camera.
The drive cam tape erases after
After
15
some-
after 15
exactly.
seconds. But on some of the tapes, they do have the speed. And I'm sorry, I said you drive out of Flynn. You drive out
I've
Potrero,
done-
but you do drive 60-foot buses.
Yeah, but I was out of Flynn,
Yeah,
and
oh,
the
okay.
GSU I went to Potrero, so I've been at both
Okay.
barns. Yeah.
So I got once driving the 5. You ever drive the 5
I did
R?
the 5
Okay, yeah, I was like
too,
out
yeah.
at 30th, 33rd or something before they put the bulbs in, which they did.
Mm-hmm.
And I was parked, and this, I think it was an Audi, came along, and I mean I was letting people off, and it just his mirror hit the back of my bus, and he just kept going. They came out, they measured to make sure that all my wheels were close enough to the
Exactly.
curb,
Exactly.
and then they let me go. That was so nice of them.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, let's hear about you. I think you have at least one instance or situation or accident.
Well, I've got
that
a
you were
good one.
involved.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's hear one.
I actually had 3 accidents in 1 year. And one, I actually clipped somebody's mirror. I was moving. It was my fault. I did it. But then I have 2 others that I'm like, are you kidding me? I think you could have given me an accommodation for good job, Matt, not making that worse. My favorite one was, it was back a little over, almost a year and a half ago. It was when President Obama was staying at the Fairmont, and I was driving the one California. The one goes right by the Fairmont, so they put us in diesel buses, not these nice quiet hybrids, but you know. So they've got us rerouted on Stockton over to Pacific and around and everything, and of course they added a couple minutes, but they didn't add enough. And you know, maybe that was I trying to stay on schedule? I don't know, but this bus is just you know, it's loud, and I wasn't used to it. So I only have 3 people on my bus, 2 young guys way in the back, and I've got a senior sitting right behind me, right? He's sitting right behind me. And I'm driving the one California. I get to 23rd, there's a stop sign. Then I go. He pulls the bell. He wants to get out at 25th and catch the 29 sunset. And he pulls the thing. Oh, okay, it's all good. I got quite a bit of time. Now, I got that sound, I got whatever. I see a guy at 24th. I don't have a stop sign at 24th. I see a guy come up to the white lines, the crosswalk, and roll over them. Well, I don't know if you guys have driven into Richmond. That's how people drive into Richmond and most other parts of the city. So I toot my horn to let them know, hey, I'm coming. You know, I'm coming. And unbeknownst to me, and because I'm looking at that guy, I'm looking at this car that might go in front of me. The senior had decided to get up, and where's he going to exit? Because he's a good guy. And remember, Muni used to tell him to go out the back. There's nobody on my bus. Go out the front door. You're a senior. The safest and fastest of all of Muni's doors, the front door. Safe, fast, Muni. So he's standing backwards. That is not how you stand on a bus. He's standing this way. I'm not talking about a packed bus. I'm talking about... So the guy decides to go, and before I said I hit the brakes makes the light go off, right? I apply the brakes.
Yeah.
The drive cam light doesn't change. So in other words, I didn't stop that hard.
Yeah.
I stopped well enough. I honked the horn. Drive cam light doesn't even go off. This guy, remember, he's standing backwards. He's
Yes.
a senior. He falls into a seat.
Oh.
So I'm thinking that they're gonna say, oh, hey, good job, you didn't hit that car, there wasn't any major accident, whatever. The guy, the inspector who comes out happened to be my trainer who trained me when I first started. He trained me at Flynn, he trained me at Potrero, nice guy, whatever. At the end he goes, they're gonna find you guilty. I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. So anyway, the training instructor, the head training instructor at Presidio, just happened to be on vacation. And this other guy that I had driven out of Potrero writes, and I shouldn't mock the guy's English, but even thou I seen the bus. And he's the same ethnicity as me, by the way, so I'm not mocking anybody about their education. But anyway, it says, I seen the bus, the car, and I should have stopped earlier. Now, I talked to the training instructor, you know what she said? I wouldn't have given it to you, I'm sorry, but I can't change it.
I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have said it was avoidable. She wouldn't have charged me.
She would not have charged me.
But since she had given him the power while she was gone, one of the newest training instructors, she had given him the power. She couldn't make him look bad and change it. I went into my talk, my counseling session with my superintendent. Who's not here anymore, and her advice to me was, tell the seniors to stay seated. That's her advice to me. Okay? So, yeah.
But they don't
Wow.
always take that
Interesting.
advice.
Yeah.
They don't. I just tell them to hold on. They don't always take that advice, though. You know.
It's tough. It's very interesting. All of us out there know of, like I said, many instances, situations, collisions that you feel were not your fault, and it just seems like everything we do, everything that happens, everything that occurs is your fault, your problem. So at the end of the show, in a couple of minutes, we're going to talk about possible solutions, feasible solutions, positive alternatives in the near future that we can try and accomplish so that we don't get involved in these instances where your F line is stopped, somebody reverses, they hit you, and then you get charged for it. Operator, I want to ask you in regards to this latest incident that you were involved with. Would you say it was an assault? The way that you
According to the law, if I go like that, I assaulted you. That's the law. Okay? So HR got involved. Basically I had an inspector come on my bus, yelling and screaming over a run sign.
What was wrong with your run sign?
The new buses, the new radios, sometimes your run sign, even your destination sign, everything goes black.
Okay.
There's cases where you start out in the morning or you leave your terminal, you look, okay, it's 49 or whatever. And in the middle of your line, you pull into a bus stop and everybody's like, hey, what bus is this?
Right.
I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, everything's black. So I'm on the 49 outbound, inspector on the inbound side comes running across the street, tells me to stop, screaming about my run sign, and I'm like, look, it's these new radios.
Your run sign was not working.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I open the door, and then he gets on, and he's like, you hit systems okay, then you hit the arrow, you go to 125, and then you go to run destination sign. And he's like, okay, now program your run. But when I hit run destination sign, the keypad won't pop up, so I can enter the run number.
So you're trying to do this
Yeah,
on the
so then
computer.
I open the door again, I'm like, hey man, I can't get to the keypad, I can't get... I'm going like this, it's right here. I'm going like this, he comes back on the bus and...
Just smacks your hand.
I mean, not like, but I'm just saying like you do it like a little kid or a dog. And I'm like, hey man, you ain't gotta hit my hand like that.
Wow.
And the look he gave me, like he was trying to hold himself back.
Like he had the right to smack your hand.
and
How dare you?
How dare you? What? And so he looks at me, he's like, I'm writing you up for no run sign. I said, I'm writing you up for slapping my hand. Priority, priority, priority.
Wow. Wow. I'm writing you up for
No run sign.
no run sign. The guy slaps your hand. To me,
If he would have just said, when I said, hey man, you ain't got to slap my hand like that, if he would have said, you know what, I'm sorry operator, I didn't mean that.
it would have been okay.
Okay, but
Right.
then the way you look at me like I'm a little piece of shit,
And that's the way that they
and
constantly...
then when I called HR to 6th floor, I'm not gonna say her name because you don't do that, but I was like, if I did that to him, and before I could say another word, she was like, you would have already been released.
Exactly.
You would have been released
Exactly.
immediately. She's like, an inspector would have came,
Wow.
took you down for a 799, put you on the couch, you would have had a dismissal hearing, and you'd be gone.
That's an assault. Keep in mind, if there's a police officer and you walk up to a police officer's writing a report, and you take that officer's pen, that's an assault. That's an assault. If you
I
take an
know that.
officer's pen, if you take an officer's cap, your hand.
Like I
was
said, it's
snapped.
not
Right,
but it's
right.
still like I'm not.
Wow, unbelievable. This is the
I
way.
just thank God for this. I'm 49. If I was 29 and that happened, two things would have happened. He'd be in the hospital, I'd be in jail.
Right.
Because that's just like that's the ultimate disrespect. You don't put your hands on nobody.
Right.
You don't touch another employee, a coworker. You keep your hands to yourself at all times.
What do you think, operator, will happen if next week something happens and you just you lose it and you just smack a supervisor's hand on this one? What do you think is going to happen
They're
to
gonna try
you?
to put me in jail and fire me.
Right. What do you think is going to happen?
I just think that's inappropriate conduct, period. That's just like sometimes we have people on the bus and, they want to come up and touch you and, stuff like that. And I just feel like we don't have the right to be doing that.
But this
I feel it's just 100% inappropriate. The thing is they know that there's a lot of glitches with these radios, and the only way to fix that is for you to just tell the operator to go to the terminal and turn off the master switch or the battery, and it will reset all of that. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do.
And just looking at it from the larger, I guess, picture, or this was an inspector or supervisor that assaulted
They are
you.
supposed to be held to higher standards.
These are the people that are supposed
Represent
to.
MTA management.
They're the ones that are supposed to be helping us when situations.
They're supposed to.
In situations, and this is how we get treated. So let me ask you, what do you think? I mean, might happen if you just all of a sudden smack a supervisor and inspector's hand and it's caught on camera. What do you think will happen to you?
At least up for dismissal, probably.
Probably, yeah, I agree. Wow, very interesting.
Exactly.
There's many other instances, situations, collisions, accidents that occur here and there. And with these last few minutes, I want to ask everyone here to talk about maybe possible feasible solutions. Keep this in mind. We were going to have another operator join us today, but that operator had a family emergency, and we wish her well. We wish her the best in her recovery. Our best wishes, thoughts, and prayers out to that operator. Her instance or situation was kind of interesting, and I thought, you know what, I'm at least going to have to try and mention this on the show, because she was told that although her police report said that her incident was caused due to the other person, and the fire department said the same thing, and the paramedics said the same thing, and the witnesses said the same thing, and the camera said the same thing, that it was the other person's fault in regards to this incident that happened. She was told that SFMTA doesn't use or go by or follow police reports. They go so what is it that they go on or that they go by? I mean, do you know, operator? I mean, what do you
I mean, I think,
what do they go by?
It's not your fault. I mean, okay, for instance, we've got this new red light rolling stop violation put out over at Presidio, and you guys are probably seeing a similar thing, but they're saying if you roll through a stop sign, you can get suspended for 3 days. And it also says right in here, let's say I go through a stop sign and I roll through it 1 or 2 miles an hour. And somebody comes from my left and smashes into me, runs a stop sign and smashes into me. He's going to put me up, he's going to suggest firing. Because Muni's got a different scale. It's not Roger and I get into an accident, whose fault is it? It's could Pete have avoided it? If I hadn't rolled into that intersection at 1 mile an hour, that car might have gone right past me, is what they're saying.
It might have.
Yes, it's not whose fault it is. Was it avoidable or not?
unavoidable.
It's a different scale, Roger, that they have than you and I and everybody else in the real world has. And that's why Muni says slow down. You know, you have a different scale.
Let me get your opinion on that.
That happened at Kirkland about 3 years ago. An
What
old
happened?
timer was on the 19 Hollywood and stop signs, 2-3 miles an hour at I forget, 9 or 10 p.m. And a drunk driver ran stop and hit the bus, and the bus went into a house.
Okay.
And he was an old timer, so they told him, go retire, more or less. So he didn't get fired. He just told, hey, it's time for you to go.
Wow.
It was all over the news and stuff, the video and
Because
stuff.
he had rolled through the stop sign.
Yeah, because if he didn't Hollywood to stop, he got the big picture, he saw it coming.
Yeah.
Because because
What would you, I guess, offer in these last few minutes that we have as a I don't know, some sort of positive alternative, a feasible solution to sort of ameliorate these problems where you're stopped completely, somebody reverses, hits you, yet you get charged for it, or operators being assaulted by our superior officers, by supervisors, by inspectors? What would you offer as some sort of bandage or remedy to try and ameliorate this?
they got to just try to straighten it out, get system safety to one that judges the accidents more educated, because they weren't drivers before, most of the people up there.
Okay, I wasn't around when this accident review board was around. Were you around, operator, for
No.
that? No, you were not.
They need to have an independent company invest, someone who's neutral from the MTA, like
Exactly.
just someone who that's their specialty, is reviewing accidents, not letting Muni, like you said, if your bus is moving, you're getting charged. Someone who has no affiliation with the MTA together.
There have been some accidents where the police report says it's not your fault, but Muni's first thing is, you didn't follow the 5 keys, you didn't see the big picture, you didn't leave yourself an out. Then they blame that. So the cop can say it's not your fault, but then you still get charged because you violated the Smith system.
There was an operator out of Flint. Someone cut him off, like intentional, so he missed the car. Set off drive cam. Drive cam said this operator avoided an accident. No violations. When the superintendent saw the video, she called him in and said, "I'm going to charge you with this because you were driving with one hand."
Oh, yeah.
And another thing is that superintendent has never driven
Yep.
a coach at Flint. I know exactly.
Never driven a coach.
Never driven at all.
She's not bus driver.
Wow.
So I do want to say, so when Roger told me that he wanted to do this thing on ludicrous charges, I was a little concerned about the term because it does have some negative connotations to it. And I did look to it, look it up, and it was more popular 100 years ago than it is now. But Roger pointed out that it can mean like laughable. And the definition I found was out of place, to be amusing. And unfortunately, it's not amusing in a fun way. The word that I found that was actually listed as a synonym was incongruous. So that means out of alignment. For instance, I went through a training this last Monday, and the leader of the training, the inspector, said, well, if you're driving and somebody gets up while you're driving, as one union rep told me, it was called a merry-go-round, when they get up and you're driving, and then you have to brake, not hit something, and they fall, that's not a fall on board because you made sure they sat down. Well, guess what? That's what happened on my coach. And if that's truly how it is, then we need to clean that up. So one of the things I think, Rogers, we can do about this is to have a union that checks in with you. Oh, Roger, you had an accident? Okay, we're going to go in and talk to the superintendent, but tell me your side first. Whenever I've gone in with the union, they've never talked to me first. It's always just don't say anything, just sit there. And guess what? You know who I went in with? Our secretary. He didn't say one thing before, didn't say one thing during, didn't say one thing after. And I found out, that there's no longer an accident review board, but you can write something. You can go down to 1 South Van Ness, but they just let it slide. That's not okay. And as far as your interaction with this inspector, I'm no way saying I agree with what he did. But unfortunately, I think the inspectors are overstressed and we're overstressed. And one thing in the future is we need to work on this job that's not, the other day, the person in charge of schedules was blaming the drivers. We were at Presidio at a safety meeting going, the schedules are based on how you drive. I drove and it's based on how you drive. And I'm just like, really? You're blaming us for your poor performance of writing realistic schedules. Please don't do that, because the safety department talks safety, Muni talks safety, Ed Reskin talks safety, scheduling department doesn't talk safety. They need to get in alignment with everybody else.
Wow, interesting. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are being thrown to try and fix these problems, and I don't really know how far that's going in terms of being able to fix these problems. My solutions are somewhat a little simpler. Show the operators a little bit of respect. Treat them with a little bit of dignity. Give them a damn break. Doesn't take millions of dollars to do that. My personal opinion. In these last, 2 minutes or so, operator, give us your 30 seconds. Any last second comments, suggestions, anything on your mind? 30 seconds.
Things will never change. It's not Muni anymore. It's the MTA.
Okay. And you do have a video there that we're going to be posting up shortly in regards to that incident. Daphne, 30 seconds.
All I have to say is let's try to be united out there. We are overstressed and overworked, and try to be safe as you can be. Always, take that extra time that you need. You don't have to rush.
What's the rush?
Also, like on mine, when I got mine charged, I filed a rebuttal, because there's no more ARV, but you can do a rebuttal and try to get it overturned. But it didn't work my way, but at least there's rebuttals, what you try to do.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Pete, 30 seconds.
Well, I would like, Petrero. Well, you weren't there, actually. But at Petrero, we used to drive the 22. Do you remember this? We drove the 22. And the schedule was start at this time at 3rd Street, start at this time at Bay Street.
Yes.
There was no time points along the way. I'll tell you, driver stress was way down, way down. Because this idea, now on the clock thing, it says you're 3 minutes late. You're 4 minutes late. They tell me that 3 minutes late isn't late, but still you got that stress of looking at that clock. So I'm hoping that in the future that we can somehow get our brothers and sisters together to slow down. But a lot of drivers right now, or not slow down, safe down. If you just slow down, purposely slow down, you're actually not doing what you're supposed to do. But to somehow figure out if we need to change the schedule back to the way the 22 did it, where you weren't encouraged to drive unsafely, which the schedule does. But somehow, as I've talked to Roger about this before, I'd like to have it a safety day or a safety week. But hey, June 15th, folks, it's going to be safety day. So we want you all to drive safe, and you don't have to worry about your followers saying, you're dragging the line.
Well, Pete, that was a little longer than 30 seconds, but thank you as always. And I think by you saying slow down, I think you mean do not drive above the speed limit, correct? Do not break the speed limit. Is that correct?
Can I have extra time?
10 seconds, Pete.
No, I didn't just mean that. I also meant drive safe.
Drive safe.
Yes.
Good. Fantastic. Well, friends, thank you very much for tuning in. We will keep you posted with any other updates. Remember that without you, we cannot move forward. There are many different ways that you can get involved. You can donate, make many different types of donations. You can donate your time and join us at our monthly general membership assemblies. You can donate your energy by helping us out in the streets, passing out educational information. You can donate your intellect by joining us here at one of our future episodes of the Transit Talk. You can make a monetary donation, and keep in mind that for a monetary donation, you will receive one of our famous shirts that are floating around out in the streets. Oh, there it is right there. San Francisco is the heart, the streets are the veins, and we are the bloodline that gives life to this city. That is what I constantly say and tell all the other operators. Thank you for tuning in. Get involved, get educated, join the movement.